بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. After praising Allah, the Almighty Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and passing salutation upon His Messenger Muhammad, may peace and blessings be upon him. As we know that Alhamdulillah, we came out from the month which is the best of all months, the month of Ramadan. And definitely the person will not be as worshipper as he was in the month of Ramadan. This is natural. The most important thing is to hold on to as much as ibadah as possible. And in the month of Ramadan, it is a natural thing that the person would be striving in ibadah more than he would in other months. So he would be more of qiyam, he would be more sadaqah and charity, he would be more of prayer all night, and also he will be more into ibadah in general. Prophet ﷺ used to be generous more in the month of Ramadan. Prophet of Allah used to give more of himself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the month of Ramadan. He used to recite Quran more than the month of Ramadan. But you see, we shouldn't really leave the ibadah totally and just do it in the month of Ramadan. This is what is wrong. You could keep up with the ibadah by abiding yourself with the 5 daily prayers, and also by abiding yourself by the night prayer as much as you can, and also by the recitation of the Quran. Sufyan ibn Abdullah al-Thaqafi, a companion, may Allah be pleased with him, he came to the Prophet ﷺ and he said, verily, the Islam came up with lots of instructions, and I would like you to tell me something, to hold on to it, so that I will not ask anyone else after you, or I will not ask anyone else other than yourself. So give me something that I will stick to it, and I will abide myself with it. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said to him, قُلْ آمَنْتُ بِاللَّهِ ثُمَّ اسْتَقِمْ. Say that I have worshipped Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and I believe in Him, then stay on Istiqaamah. Istiqaamah means you keep it to the righteous deeds. In this hadith, the Prophet of Allah, he pointed out to this great companion, Sufyan ibn Abdullah al-Thaqafi, that you need to make sure that you have the iman, which is the sincerity in worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and pleasing Him. And number two, that you need to make sure that whatever you are doing from the ibadah, you are doing it according to what the Prophet ﷺ had authorized you to do. These are the two wings of a bird. For a bird to fly has to have two wings. If one wing is not there, then the bird will not fly. First wing is the sincerity that is to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whenever you do the ibadah. The second one is sincerity in following the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So those are the two wings and the two conditions for any ibadah to be accepted. And as I said, we are heading towards now other months than the month of Ramadan, like the month of Hijjah, where we have the first 10 days of the Hijjah very soon coming, and they are having the greatest of all days. Then after that, we'll have the month of Muharram. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is putting us months as well to make sure that we are pumped up with the iman all the time. And from those things that we need to adhere to is to come to the classes of knowledge, because the knowledge is the key for salvation. And the person who has knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves him. And how to gain the knowledge is to come to the classes and come to them as regularly as you can, because it's not for us to just to choose and to be like the food tasters. You know, the food tasters, they will never have proper food. You want to have, a dedication to the knowledge. So it's not just coming here to the class and then you don't come to the following class, you come to a class here and then you come to another class in the masjid, and in the masjid you're not really organized, you're not going to gain anything. And also don't be from the people who are impatient. Knowledge cannot be gained in 1 month or 1 year. It's a long process. So make sure that you gain the knowledge in the way that the scholars used to gain the knowledge, used to be very patient, and patience all the time would lead to humbleness and gratitude. Whereas impatience would lead to straight away ingratitude and also to arrogance. So be patient when you gain the knowledge, and take from the ones who are above you, and even the ones who are same level as you are, and even from the ones who are below you. For verily Imam Shafi'i used to take from Imam Ahmad, even though Imam Ahmad he was a student. So never ever say that, oh, who is he to take knowledge from? For verily that is arrogance, and arrogance will never get you to anywhere. It will get you to nowhere. So be humble, take the knowledge, and he was on the path of the real knowledge. He's on the path to Jannah. Prophet of Allah, he said, "Man salaka tariqan yaltamisu fihi ilman, salaka Allah bihi tariqan ila al-Jannah." He who seeks a path upon which he would take knowledge, then Allah will put him on a path that would lead him to paradise. Our book is Al-Adab al-Mufrad, and I don't think we have started the Adab al-Mufrad in this masjid, have we? It's all of it to do with general lectures, yes? I think it's the first time, because we left it with Al-Huda Masjid before it was closed, inshallah. We'll reopen very soon. I think it's a year ago, inshallah. But as I said, we haven't really done Al-Adab al-Mufrad. It's our book, Al-Adab al-Mufrad, which we have started way back. Can't recall. Everything's been recorded for me in my notes, but it's way back. And alhamdulillah, we are almost have done more than a third of the book. So, I would say just about a third and a bit. Hadith is the Hadith 411, but there's a chapter title that preceded that by 4 hadiths before that. And the chapter title, I would like our brother here, Hassan, to read from the chapter title. Then after that, read the Hadith. Read the chapter title first, and let me elaborate.
Bismillah. Chapter 192.
Are you comfortable with this? Would you like to bring your chair for yourself? Okay, your knees.
Chapter 192. Charging with hatred. Hadith 411.
Okay. Ash-shahna in Arabic. He said charging with hatred. Ash-shahna is actually that the person will have his heart full of hatred towards his fellows from the believers, for the sake of the dunya. That's the shahna. So an enmity that goes into the heart would make the person preoccupied by such an enmity that would make him to lose his ibadah. He would lose his dhikr. All his dhikr is just to curse that person, how to harm that person, how to get revenge from that person. That is why it's a chapter which is deserved to be addressed. And the Imam al-Bukhari had brought a number of ahadith in it, and he had brought as well ahadith in other chapters to talk about this issue, because the Sharia is actually to bring harmony and love amongst the people, amongst the brothers. And anything that would distort or play around with this thing, it will be straight away cut off from the Sharia. Sharia would fight anything that would make enmity and put enmity between the hearts of the believers, and at the same time Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had prepared a lot of rewards for those who reconcile between the brothers. So let's just go to Hadith 411 now.
Hadith 411. Abu Hurairah said, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, the doors of the garden are opened on Monday and Thursday. Every slave who does not associate anything with Allah is forgiven, except for him who sustains enmity between himself and another. It is said, leave these two until they make peace.
Right. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, who is the one who narrated more than any companions from the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Tuftahu abwab al-Jannah, the gates of paradise, the gates of the garden, opens on Monday or Thursday. This is a great hadith. First of all, the gates of paradise, they open really, truly. So we interpret that as in a true opening, and we carry the words out to be true meanings. We don't really say, oh, that means the mercy of Allah will encompass us. No. The gates of paradise, they do open. And we carry that on haqiqah, that means reality. And it says here on the day of Monday and on the day of Thursday. it shows us the virtues of Monday and Thursday. And when the Prophet ﷺ says that the gates of paradise open on Monday and Thursday, that means there is an encouragement and prompting from the Prophet of Allah to do as many good deeds as possible for those or in those days. And that is why the Prophet ﷺ used to fast Monday and Thursday. And the Prophet of Allah was asked about the fasting on Monday. He said, this is the day I was born, the day I received my revelation. And he was asked again, fasting on Monday and Thursday, he said, verily those are the days when the deeds are presented to Allah. And this is another narration for this hadith, where the Prophet of Allah said, that is tu'rul a'mal. The deeds will be presented to Allah on Monday and Thursday. This hadith says, the gates of paradise are open Monday and Thursday. And both are to be the same meaning. So on Monday and Thursday, we will find that the gates of paradise will open, and also the deeds are presented to the Almighty. And he said, the Prophet of Allah, I would like my deeds to be presented to Allah while I'm fasting. So that is why he used to fast Monday and Thursday, except of course if Monday and Thursday happens to be a prohibited day, like the day of Al-Eid or the day of Tashriq. So those days are not allowed to be fasted, and that is why he will not fast Monday and Thursday. But yet he will be having the reward of fasting those days, because even though they have fallen onto a prohibited day, because he did not fast them to adhere to the command of Allah, he will be rewarded for that intention of his. And if the person as well happened to be traveling or in illness and he does not fast on Monday or Thursday, Allah will command his angels to write every single good deed that the person used to do while he was resident and healthy, and even the fasting of the Monday and the Thursday. Then he says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would forgive to every person who does not associate anything with Allah. It shows us here the excellence of Tawheed and also the danger of shirk. Allah will not forgive to any person who would associate anything with him. And here the shirk is being mentioned in general. And shirk is either major or minor. The major is unforgivable, and it will take you outside the fold of Islam. Whereas the minor is, according to some of the scholars like Shaykh al-Islam, he said it will not be forgiven, but it will not take you outside the fold of Islam. As for the rest of the scholars, they said no, the minor shirk is under the Mashi'ah, that means Allah maybe, and He might will, on the day of resurrection, to forgive you that shirk. But regardless whether this or that, the person should really keep away and shun from doing shirk, regardless whether it's major or minor, and that's important. So it shows us the importance of the Tawheed, and the Tawheed is the reason for forgiveness. The Tawheed is for the person to take him to paradise, and the shirk is one of the destructive sins that would take the person away from the path of Jannah, and that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had a number of verses warned us to commit shirk. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ. Allah does not forgive who makes shirk with Him. وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَن يَشَاءُ. And Allah would forgive for the person any type of deeds, any type of sins except for that shirk. So shirk is not forgivable. Shirk is destructive. Shirk will invalidate your deeds. And that is why Allah will not accept or He will not forgive for those who commit shirk with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He says, إِلَّا رَجُلًا كَانَتْ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ أَخِيهِ شَهْوَةٌ. So even if the person is not committing shirk, yet he has an enmity, shahna, between him and his brother, still he will not be forgiven. Still, he will be as well exempted from this forgiveness. It shows us the importance of this issue, which is that the person should have all the time love and affection to his brother. And if it is to do with the deen, that you have boycotted your brother because of he's an innovator, that's something else. And we spoke about that in the previous ahadith. But if it's to do with the dunya, you're not allowed to have enmity towards your brother, and the boycotting cannot exceed 3 days. And that is now you understand the link between this hadith and the previous hadith, when the Prophet ﷺ said لا يحل لمسلم أن يهجر أخاه فوق ثلاث. It is not lawful for a Muslim to boycott his brother more than 3 days. And between Monday and Thursday, and then Thursday to the other Monday, it is 3 days. So that is why the prohibition is there, so that you could be in the days where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would forgive you. So not over 3 days. If you count Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, that's 3 days. So by Thursday should be what? Having reconciliation. Then you've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3 days. And then before Monday comes in, and you are reconciling with your brother. Now you understand the link between the 3 days and Monday and Thursday. So the Prophet ﷺ in this hadith is asking us, the Muslims, to take this matter seriously and do not joke about it, and to make sure that we reconcile between ourselves and our brothers if it's to do with the dunya matters. The way, and the simplest way to break off this sort of boycotting is just to say salam, Assalamu alaikum. So the hadith was mentioned inside Imam Muslim, where the Prophet of Allah emphasized the fact when Allah He said to the angels, leave these two until they reconcile. He said it 3 times. So he repeated the sentence, انظروا هذين حتى يصطلحا. That means delay them, that means don't grant forgiveness for them. So Allah is asking the angels not to forgive them, not to delay the writing, the forgiveness of theirs until, so anything that you've been doing, it will not be forgiven until you reconcile. So Allah's Messenger had said that Allah would say to His angels, lead them aside. And the Prophet repeated that 3 times to emphasize the importance of this. So much important that we're going to see it in the following hadith. Go ahead.
412, Adab 97. Abu Darda said, shall I tell you about something better for you than sadaqah and fasting? Promoting unity between each other. Hatred is what wears things away.
Right. Here, hatred is the shayba. That's the proper translation of it. Shayba al-hariqa. This hadith was mentioned in 391. This is an athar from Abu Darda, not from the Prophet of Allah. So the hadith is actually from the Prophet of Allah in 391, the hadith number, in which the Prophet ﷺ, he had said something even extra on top of this. That is, Allah, should I inform you of something which is better for you than not just the sadaqah and the siyam, and also the salah. And also the salah has been mentioned there. And it be mentioned under the chapter, which is reuniting between the brothers, rectifying between the brothers. And also at the end of the hadith, instead of mentioning وَإِنَّ الْبُغْضَةَ هِيَ الْحَارِقَةُ, the hatred is the shayba, Prophet of Allah had mentioned وَفَسَادُ ذَاتِ الْبَيْنِ هِيَ الْحَارِقَةُ, and that is the break-off between the 2 brothers, the boycotting between the 2 brothers is the shayba. In the hadith 391, Prophet of Allah, he says, وَإِيَّاكُمْ وَالْبُغْضَ, and be aware, keep away from the hatred. So here, hadith 260. Hadith 260 is an addition here. And be aware from the bughda, for verily it is the shayba. I don't say it shaves the hair, but it shaves after religion. So the hatred and the shahna in the brothers' heart towards each other is like a razor. And that's razor, what does it do? It doesn't raise the hair, it raises the religion. It cuts off the religion, it wipes off the deen from your heart. Because the person, as I said, when he's got enmity in his heart, all he's doing is, all he's thinking is just, how to harm his brother, how to hate his brother. He's preoccupied, hatred. And instead of remembrance of Allah, it will be remembrance of how to plot against his brother. He can't sleep. He can't, because as I said, he has this hatred. And that is why the Prophet of Allah had emphasized the fact of the importance of removing such hatred from the hearts, such shahna from the hearts. And he's not giving you more than 3 days, otherwise it will be major sin. Hadith starts, ala uhaddithukum. This is Abu Darda saying, and it's been taken from the Prophet of Allah, which is better than the sadaqah and the siyam. You see, the sadaqah here is talking about the actual sadaqah. The siyam is the actual fasting, which is salahu dhatil bayn. You see, the sadaqah in general is not just the sadaqah, which is the money that you pay, but also the sadaqah is the good word. Good word is a sadaqah. And siyam is not just the siyam, which is the fasting that is abstaining from food and drink, but also the siyam is fasting from indecency. Fasting from, for example, gossiping and backbiting and slandering, all of it. So this is the real sadaqah and the real siyam. So some people, they do the actual sadaqah, which is the money, and the siyam, which is the fasting, and the salah as well, the prayer, and yet they do, which is one of the things that would shave off their religion, that is they have hatred towards the brothers regarding dunya matters, and you should not do so. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. Now we come into some ahadith which are unauthentic in the following chapters. Chapter As-Salam Yujzi'u min as-Sawm, or min as-Sawm, sorry, min as-Sawm, and At-Tafriqa min al-Ahdath. Those two chapters underneath which 413, 414, 450 are to be authentic. So we go to chapter 195, Bab man ashara ala akhihi wa in lam yastashir. Now,
Chapter 195. Someone giving advice to his brother when he has not been asked for advice. Hadith 416. Wahab bin Kaysan said, Ibn Umar saw a shepherd and some sheep in a bad place, and he saw a place which was better than it. He told him, "Woe to you, shepherd, move there. I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, every shepherd is responsible for his flock."
Abdullah ibn Umar, he had met Wahab ibn Kaysan, I should say the other way around. Wahab ibn Kaysan had met Abdullah ibn Umar. And Abdullah ibn Umar, from his habits, is that he travels and he as well wanders in the deserts. A number of times we find Abdullah ibn Umar, he had met Bedouin people and he had met shepherds, the ones who herd the sheep. Before we go to this hadith, he met one day a shepherd and he was in charge of the sheep. So he said to him, "Give us one of your sheep and sell it to us, we'll give you the money." So he said, "I've been trusted by my master." He said, "You could just go and tell your master that one of the wolves had captured it and it died." So he said, "But I'm afraid, what about him?" And he pointed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when he said these words, Abdullah ibn Umar never left those words. وَكَيْفَ بِاللَّهِ وَكَيْفَ بِاللَّهِ How's Allah? How's Allah? How can I tolerate for myself to say that the wolf had captured a sheep and then I will sell it to you, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching from above seven heaven. And Abdullah ibn Umar never let go of those words until he reached Medina, and he asked for the master of that shepherd, and he purchased him and he sold and he set him free because of his honesty. So Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma, he met a shepherd here where he was herding his sheep in a place where, as I say in English, place where there's no water, or bad place. Bad place, that means there's no grass to eat, or there's no water. That's what it means. Okay, it's nothing to do with bad place, that means there's a naked woman, for example. A bad place, that means there is not enough food for the sheep. And when you saw that, also at the same time, there is a better place. So he's wondering why that shepherd not taking his sheep to that good place. So he said to him, "Wayhak." And in Arabic there is wayhak and there is waylak. Wayhak is a wall, but it's a wall which is less than the wall of waylak. And we're going to come to this as well in the chapters where there's a difference between wayhak and waylak. Wayhak is that you say to the person where he does not deserve it. Whereas waylak, you deserve it. You deserve the wall. So here, woe to you, but you don't deserve it. And why are you doing this? Oh, shepherd, take it from that place, which is the bad place, where there is no food, there's no water, to that good place. I heard the Prophet ﷺ said, all of you are to be shepherds, and every shepherd is responsible for his flock of sheep. All of you to be shepherds. So here we find a number of things that we could learn, which is number one, the link between the title of this hadith, where Abdullah ibn Umar, he had given a consultation and advice to the brother, to that shepherd. Even the shepherd man did not ask him for that, because he found and he saw and he realized that that man is doing a mistake. So if you see your brother when he's doing something wrong and you could advise him and you think your advice will be accepted, you have more of ghalabat al-dhann, that there will be no fitna on that, why not? Don't wait for him to ask you. So straight away he told him, why are you doing this? Maybe that shepherd man didn't see that good place. Maybe he didn't see it. And then he said to him, well, you don't deserve the rule, but why are you taking the sheep in a land where there is no water and there is no grass? And also we learn from this that the companions, they always adhere and follow the Prophet ﷺ, because he said, I heard the Prophet of Allah say. So because he had learned from the Prophet of Allah that each shepherd is a person who's in charge, then he is responsible for his flock of sheep. And this is not just for a shepherd of the sheep, for even the father, for the family, mother, for her family, the master also, or even the servant with his master. He is responsible, he's in charge of his money. The teacher is responsible for his students. So that teacher will be asked, what did you do with those people they've been put in your custody? So every person knows that he is a shepherd, and he is responsible for his flock of sheep. So here, the Prophet of Allah had taught them this, and Abdullah ibn Umar learned from the Messenger. Also we learn from this that the caring of the animal, mercy. Because the Abdullah ibn Umar is caring for sheep. He said to him, what are you doing? These are sheep. These are the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here we find the mercy and the lender from the Prophet of Allah. Prophet of Allah, a number of occasions where the Messenger of Allah had admonished the companions regarding camels who have been beaten up, or for example regarding that chick which has been taken away from the mother, which is a bird. A number of times the Prophet of Allah, he told us about slaughtering the sheep, not to slaughter a sheep in front of another sheep. So that's called animal mercy. And Allah he learned from that. So from the animal mercy is that, for example, if you lock up a cat, you need to feed it. You can't lock up a cat and starve it. You're going to go to hellfire because of that, as that woman she done. So when you are caging a bird, you need to feed it. If you don't feed it, you're going to be given to the hellfire because of that. And that's what the Prophet of Allah he said. So this is what we have learned from this hadith. Prophet of Allah's companions used to uphold the sayings of the Prophet of Allah to be the great, and also we learn from this how Abdullah ibn Umar derived from that statement of the Prophet of Allah, that consultation. He said to him, woe to you, what are you doing? Why? Because he had derived from the hadith of the Prophet of Allah this following understanding, that you should be responsible before Allah Azza wa Jalla about your sheep. You're going to be questioned, why did you put those sheep in that bad place and you did not take them to the good place? Right, we're going now to hadith 417.
Chapter 196. The one who dislikes bad examples.
What time is the Maghrib, please? 52. Now.
Hadith 417. Ibn Abbas said, the Prophet ﷺ said, we do not set a bad example. The one who takes back his gift is like the dog who returns to his own vomit.
Okay, the ones who dislike bad examples. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Nahl, لِلَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْآخِرَةِ, the ones who do not believe in the hereafter, مَثَلُ السَّوْءِ, a bad example. وَلِلَّهِ الْمَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى, and for Allah belongs the highest of all examples. So, this chapter title, That is, you should not have the bad example is your model to follow. The model is supposed to be that you should be resembling and emulating is the good example, not the bad example. That is why we should not have, for example, the fox as an inspired animal for us. Because the fox is a sly. The sly is a fox. It should not be like that. We could have the lion as a good example in terms of courage. So some of the characteristics of the animals are embedded into us as well. And we need to purify ourselves from the bad characteristics of those animals. So the camel has got good things about it. Whereas the rat, mice, snakes, scorpions, nobody would like to be called little mice. This is something wrong with it. Or rat, or snake. You know, your lovely snake. It doesn't work. It goes through bad characteristics. But a person would like to be called a lion. I'm a lion. Yes, I'm a lion. And Allah's lion is Hamza radiallahu anhu, Asadullah. But there is no one of the companions, the snake of Allah. So those animals should not be avoided. So the characteristics of the animals, which are good, like the camel, Prophet said the mu'min is like the camel. Whenever you pull him, wherever you pull him, he will go along with you. It's not pull back. So we should not have a bad example to follow. And as a Muslim, we should be all the time abiding and following the good example. And then he mentions Al-A'idu fi hibati, the one who returns back his gift. Now, subhanallah, this Al-A'idu fi hibati, when the Prophet started like this, it is more of telling the person off, not to give or to get his gift back, rather than to say, don't take your gift back. No, he started, we should not have the bad example. The person who goes back in his gift is like the dog when he goes back with his what? Vomit. So he's given the similarity of the person who takes the gift back as a dog. Do you have to be called a dog, brother? Maybe you have something wrong in your fitrah or something else. You don't know anybody called dog. Even the one who loves the dog, they don't like to be like dogs. And that's what this way she said, you dog. They love the pig and they put it like a small little toy, but they don't like to be called pig. So no. SubhanAllah. It is natural. And he had given similarity of what is being returned like the vomit of the dog. So what is being returned, so when you return your gift back, is that thing is like a vomit of a dog. And the one who returns it is like a dog himself. So Qatada, he had given an addition to this, and he said, وَلَا نَعْلَمُ الْقَيْء إِلَّا حَرَامًا. And that we know that is swallowing back the vomit is to be haram. He's trying to say to you that this hadith is telling us that the person who takes back his gift is a person who's doing and committing haram. And look how the Prophet ﷺ had even given further than that regarding this issue. One day we find Umar al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, he said, I have given a horse in charity for the sake of jihad, fi sabilillah, for the sake of jihad. And I asked the Prophet of Allah, that is, that man who had given him, what happened? He had lost it. When he lost it, it means like he did not look after it, and it's gone really weak. So I wanted to purchase that horse back from him. Do you understand what I'm saying? Umar al-Khattab, he had given a horse for the sake of Allah. But the person who was giving that, he did not look after the horse. He's like lost it, wasted it. Until that horse got weak. So now he wants to sell it. So Umar al-Khattab, he said, I want to buy it because I thought he will sell it for a cheap price. So he asked the Prophet also. It shows how companions are very cautious. They will not do such a thing until they have the approval from the Messenger of Allah. So Prophet said, don't buy it, even if he given it to you with 1 dirham. Even if he sold it to you with 1 dirham, very cheap. For verily, the person who goes back into his gift, into his charity. So the person who purchases his own charity from the same person who's given it to him is like he had taken it back. For the person who goes back onto his charity is like the dog going back into his vomit. There is no harm if you purchase that charity from someone else. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if that man you give him that charity, the horse, you sold it to somebody else, third party, and you have purchased it from the third party, it's no problem. But to buy it from that person, you know he's not going to sell it, okay, except with cheap. Even if he sold it to you with the same price, okay. Of course, you're not going to buy it at its higher price because you're going to go to the market and get it cheaper. But even if it's the same price, don't do that because you are into the danger of what the Prophet of Allah had said. And the proof for this, when the Prophet of Allah came and been giving him some meat, so Aisha said, Messenger, don't eat. This is a sadaqah being given to Barira. Barira is a slave. She used to be for the Aisha, she set her free later on. Barira is a slave woman. So she said, Messenger of Allah, this has been given sadaqah to Barira. Why she said that? Because you know the Prophet of Allah, even the wives of the Prophet of Allah, and anybody who comes from the lineage of the Prophet of Allah, which they call him Sayyid in Pakistan or Ashraf in the Arabs, they're not supposed to eat from the charity. They're not supposed to eat from the zakat. So she told him, Messenger of Allah, it has been sadaqah to Barira. So he said, no problem, because it's been given to Barira as a sadaqah, but given to us as a gift. So there's a third hand here. Being given to Barira as a sadaqah, but Barira is given it to us, what is that? A gift. So it's not sadaqah anymore. Sadaqah is not to us, sadaqah to Barira. Prophet ﷺ, he would not eat the charity, and also he would not take from the sadaqah, because this is to do with the dirty money of the people, because you purify yourself, and it's not supposed to go to the Prophet of Allah or his lineage. Now if the person who's been given the gift had returned the gift back, then there is no problem, and there is no hatred, or there is no dislike for the one who's giving the gift to take his gift back. Do you understand what I'm saying? If I give a gift to someone, like a mobile, and that person says, I don't want the mobile, thank you very much. There's no harm for me to take it back. I'm not going to be like the dog returning back onto my gift. Okay? Is that understood? So there's no harm. And the proof for that, when the Prophet of Allah was given gift by a person called Abu Jahl. He's given a khamisah, like a garment, where it's got a'lam, patterns. So the Prophet of Allah didn't want it because it will distract him with the prayer. So he returned it back. And he said, Ruddu this, give it back to Abu Jahl, and ask him for a garment which has got nothing on it, pattern. Which is cheaper, usually is the case, but no patterns, cheaper than the one's got the patterns. So he said, take this back to him and ask him for something which has got no pattern. So no harm if you have somebody returned the gift of yours to yourself, than to take it back because he doesn't need it, he doesn't want it, whatever. Here we find that also there's an exception, which is the father to the son. If the father given a son a gift, he's entitled to take it back, unless there is injustice between his sons. Again, Prophet of Allah, he said, it is not fit for any person to give a gift or to give a sadaqah, and then he goes back onto it, except for the father giving to his son. So if the father gave to his son, and he's got only one son, he can't, and he said, I want it back. He's entitled for that. It's not like the dog and return back on his vomit. But if he's got two sons and he's given each one of a car as a gift, he's not entitled to go to one of them to say, give me the car back, because there will be what? Injustice. He's entitled to say to both of them, give me both of them, the two cars. No problem. But to leave one with car and one without a car, that's injustice, was not allowed. So, the Prophet ﷺ, he said that the father has more of, you can say, concessions given to him by the Almighty. Like for example, the father, regarding his gift, he could take it back. The father, regarding father and mother, taking the money of his child, the son, if he's got money, he's entitled to take his bank card and goes to the bank, knows the secret number, punches the numbers and take everything from there. As long as he does not jeopardize the situation of his son. He could put his hand there and take as much as he wants. And you and your father, you and your money, you are belonging to your father. And of course, as long as I said that it will not harm the son. Right, I think it is now almost the time. Yeah? 3 minutes is done. So we'll stop here, and the chapter that we have arrived to is chapter 197, which is ما ذكر في المكر والخديعة. Translation of which?
Chapter 197. What was mentioned about tricks and deception?
Tricks and deception.